Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. The unreliability of the Indian market did not happen overnight. According to incomplete statistics, from 2014 to 2021, 2,783 foreign companies have chosen to flee. The reason is very simple, that is, the money they earn is not enough. Pay the fine. However, based on the huge population base, the Indian market has always been relatively hot. In order to control the international discourse power, many international companies took risks to invest in India, but in the end, none of them were spared. India's arbitrary fines have nowhere to hide. After Xiaomi's 4.8 billion assets were confiscated, India's business atmosphere was completely notorious. Except for Foxconn, almost no companies were willing to invest in building factories. However, after the launch of the $10 billion chip support plan, India's attitude began to change. Arrogant came up. Foxconn is the most sincere to build a factory, but was rejected in the subsidy application. After that, it found various reasons to let go. Timing attract high-end companies such as TSMC to enter the game, and even spread various false news internationally. There is simply no interest in the Indian market. The story between India and BYD is even more outrageous. India ordered 1,000 new energy bus orders with a total value of $2 billion, but was only willing to pay 10% of the advance payment, and the remaining payment was required to be paid on delivery. Based on India's integrity, BYD did not dare to agree to such a request. India is aggrieved and cried internationally. BYD's payment method has hurt self-esteem, and India has been included in the ranks of countries that do not speak honesty. Even countries that do not deal with China have chosen to remain silent, which obviously cannot achieve real results. Sexual effect, after back and forth discussion, finally compromised 80% of the advance payment. Soon BYD announced a plan to build a $1 billion factory in India. It will combine local Indian companies to build an integrated production line for battery and vehicle manufacturing. It is expected that the annual output will exceed 100,000 vehicles. I never thought of such a good thing. However, it was rejected by India on the grounds that investment has security risks, which is somewhat of a revenge mentality. After giving up $1 billion of Chinese companies, they were quickly targeted by American companies. Foreign media bluntly said, India has fallen into the pit. India's situation. Before announcing the subsidy plan, India also tried to invite international companies to build factories. In the end, only Foxconn, which did not have any experience, was willing to try. In preparation for the landing of the 28nm fab, I want to get a share of the first pie. However, the Modi team came to wake up the blow. While discussing Vedanta's high debt, they also questioned Foxconn's ability. Naturally, the first application for subsidies was rejected, and the final reason was basically determined. India wants to let go. Timing lobbied TSMC to enter the game, but after the experience of US chip subsidies, it is naturally impossible for TSMC to go to India to build a factory. The $10 billion chip subsidy could not be distributed and was directly targeted by the United States. Micron officials announced a $2.75 billion factory construction plan, but the actual investment was only $825 million at most, and the rest of the investment came from subsidies from India. As soon as such a good thing came out, 3 more American companies began to act. According to public information, Microchip Technology officially announced that it will provide $300 million to expand its chip business in India. Soon AMD also decided to spend $4 to build a factory in India. Of course, Tesla, which loves to join in the fun, has already drawn up plant plans, but the final investment amount has not yet been determined. It seems to be quite lively, and a group of American companies have also provided investment funds, but if they want to build a complete fab, this amount of money is definitely not enough. Whether the next thing can be done depends on India's money ability, rejected BYD's active investment, but insisted on supporting this big scene, undoubtedly fell into the trap of the United States. At present, China and the United States are in a state of gaming in technology, especially in the semiconductor field. The competition in the semiconductor field is already in a white-hot state. The United States also relies on Asian factories in chip manufacturing. Chip rules cannot be well restricted to Chinese companies. The Biden team already in a state of anxiety. Faced with the sudden entry of Chinese companies into the Indian market, it is natural to intervene. Perhaps India is also confident in rejecting BYD's investment based on the participation of American companies, but India has embraced the real risk in its arms. American companies have always only focused on immediate interests, and will not plan for long-term interests at all. The Indian semiconductor industry has no foundation. It takes time and a lot of money to achieve profitability, which is obviously not in line with the current stage of the United States. Demand. However, India has accepted the goodwill of the United States. Once the $10 billion subsidy is exhausted, American companies will not play with you. Therefore, the foreign media's analysis of India falling into the pit is correct. What do you think about this?